I'm coming in from the West Coast, so it's bright and early here. I get to start my day with a cup of coffee and all of you, so I appreciate that. Many of you did participate in the Career Connect desk interviews, and we just kind of wanted to give you a high-level overview today. We're prepared a report which we have given to leadership, and they are reviewing it, so there's a report coming too. The slides, if you could see them here, I don't know if John has the ability to share, but
actually,
if you do.
Lisa, hang on. Sarah, I have them if you'd like.
Thank you.
Yes? Sorry. Let me make sure I pick the right screen. Sorry. Too many opened.
No worries. I appreciate that. Realized it wasn't working here.
All right.
There we go.
Okay. All set?
Yep, all set.
Okay.
And so I'm here today with my colleague, John. Mari couldn't make it, but Mari, myself, and John conducted the interviews. It was a pleasure talking to you. We are part of the team. There's a larger team, and we will be continuing as we go along, being the point of contact for grantees. And we hope to speak to also employers in the future and participants. So next slide, please. We want to take just a quick moment, a little icebreaker, and we want to ask you, what one achievement are you proud of the most during your time with Career Connect? And just take a moment, think about it, and I might ask for a volunteer or two. And feel free to chat it, but I would love a volunteer.
Okay, so I'll go first. My name is Yolanda, and I'm from the Connecticut State Building Trades Training Institute. And I think the one thing that I am the most proud of is that as a startup entity with funding with Career Connect, we basically proved that you kind of were able to you basically kind of execute a scope of work and and deliver on placing individuals into careers, not jobs.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Yolanda. Anybody else? One more person.
I have one. This is Orlando.
Hello, Orlando.
Hi. Yes, to be able to work with Career Connect and industry partners to do something that had not been done before as it relates to job placement in the bioscience field. So I really appreciate that opportunity and the collective accomplishment.
Awesome. Thank you, Orlando. And I love that collective accomplishment. And that's really a wonderful segue for what we're going to talk about a little bit with the successes we learned about and a little bit of the areas of improvement. Great. No worries, Christina. Next slide, please. I'm going to be passing it over to John, who's going to tell you a little bit of the context, and then we'll get into some of those successes.
Morning, everybody. I hope folks can hear me really well. I'm also on the West Coast, but great to start the day with you all. Again, the report is being reviewed by OWS at this point, so I'm not going to go super deep, but give you some of the general themes of some areas relative to it. So we did desk interviews. We did 14 of them that covered 13 of the 16 grantees. These were all voluntary. And for those of you that allowed us your time and feedback and recommendations relative to this, thank you very much. Again, the purpose of this is to help Career Connect build as a program. It wasn't an evaluation of you all, but it was the opportunity for you, as we will with subsequent activities with participants and employers, to make improvements in Career Connect going forward. So we did those over April and May. I have to say we were quite happy at the immediate response. We didn't have to do a lot of begging, groveling, other things for you to do that. I think one significant piece that really just leapt out with the diversity of the representation and the program characteristics that you all have and that Career Connect has put forward. You know, you have a wide variety of programs that, in terms of the populations that are served, the focus of the industries and the sectors that you all are participating in, and particularly then leading into the credentials and certifications and things provided by your training programs upon completion. So Career Connect is really able to across the width of the state, meet a lot of different challenges and needs with you as the grantees in that. I think next slide here, if you would. Thanks. I think you all just heard it in your icebreaker, but one of the big pieces around commonalities that are kind of coming up was everyone's really strong commitment to strengthen training and career opportunities. That's a significant piece of Career Connect's intent, and really based on your reporting to us, that's clearly a mission for you all as well, and then one you were able to take some advantage of in relationship to being funded by the program. The other big piece in here that really leapt out at us and lifted up was a lot of folks expressed a really strong desire to hear and learn from each other. That you all, despite the diversity of your population served and the sectors and the credentials and things that you are leading to, folks had a really strong desire, have a really strong desire to hear and to learn from each other. And anything else you would want to add, Lisa? I think those are the kind of the main pieces now. And again, when the report is reviewed and lifted up, you'll get more of these in kind of greater detail. And so next slide. Who's got the next slide here? You kind of want. Can folks hear me? Okay. Hello?
I'll be right there.
I think Christine's having a technical glitch. Hold on.
No worries.
Okay. We're gonna give you next, when she comes back, a sense of some of the summary of the themes that came out of the report that we want to lift up to you, both successes and challenges. And when those come back up, hopefully, there we go. Next slide.
Perfect.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Thank you, John. And yes, you had asked me if there was anything else I'd like to add. I think that last point, that everybody wants to learn from each other, is one of the reasons why we can really leverage the evaluation to do that, come up onto these meetings, talk to each other, and get more and more feedback. So we really heard that, so did the program, and that's one of the reasons why we're joining today. For the themes, what we did with the interviews is we took a look at them, we thematically reviewed them, we coded them, we analyzed across all of them to kind of highlight and uplift kind of 3 key bucket areas for successes. We looked at supports and case managements. We heard that there was the benefits and reach of funding, for example, to provide services and case management. This came from the program by allowing funding for provisions, personalized supports, and those in turn then help people address individualized barriers. The participation in the grant allowed a lot of people to really strengthen partnerships or create new ones, and the collaboration was very important. It allowed new developments. Some of the developments included partnership-driven program improvements. So those are things such as, employer input into curriculum, work-based learning opportunities, and in some cases, jobs. And finally, and this was also something we really thought was really essential here, a feeling of peer belonging has started among Career Connect grantees. There's a connection, there's an appreciation for meetings, for example, like this, that desire that John talked about to learn from each other and experiences. And then there was something else, which is being part of a larger workforce development initiative, a real appreciation for that, and a real desire to continue. And so those were some of the key successes. John, I'm going to pass it over to you for some of the challenges.
Okay. Thank you. And so I've just kind of broken this up a little bit into kind of 4 big buckets that we have and we'll have in the report relative to the challenges. One area that a number of grantees spoke about was around the program marketing and the marketing of the incentives made for some unanticipated challenges and outcomes for you as grantees. And so in the report, we will get into that a little bit. But that was one area that a number of folks spoke about in relationship to it. Data reporting and platform was a pretty big one, and everyone had something to say on that, and a lot of things will be lifted up and talked about in relationship to that, and the challenges that you all had relative to data collection and reporting, and getting reporting back, if you will, around it. Another area was in terms of employer and partner commitment. A number of folks, grantees, talked about the challenges with employers and other partners' capacity to both make and keep commitments under the program, that at times there was misalignment between training programs and job requirements and their ability to lift up and keep those job commitments and things that they had. That seemed to be one area that we will report on in the document for you all as well. And then folks talked about, we captured and collected missed opportunities and kind of lessons learned. That included having what Career Connect can and do to help foster grantees and participant successes, to help lift those up, to share those with other folks in terms of best practices, those kinds of things. There were a lot of folks talking about the effect on project pivots and funding related to funding and extension of statements of work and things like that. So there will be some, that was captured in your interviews as well. Another big one was in the area of the alignment between the workforce board's work as they generally do it under WIOA and Career Connect, and the challenges that posed for them in particular in relationship to it. So those are the big themes in terms of the challenges that will be we lifted up in the report that we did. So next.
Great. Perfect. And like John said, we're uplifting also recommendations. So we're really grateful to everybody for giving us recommendations, their ideas, and at times certain strategies. The themes around here, really loud and clear, people were saying, hey, it would be really great if you could continue Career Connect grant funding and opportunities. They understood where we are in the process right now, whether or not there's going to be a similar program. They said, take some of these lessons learned, take that sort of commitment and continue it if possible. The flexibility was very important to really kind of making sure you can tackle barriers that allowed, as I think it was Yolanda who said, not just jobs, people can get into careers. So that was very much appreciated. Obviously, there was a lot of issues with the data reporting platform that we heard. John mentioned that people did recognize that improvements along the way had been made. So it's continued that improvement for the data platform and the participant portals, and think of some of the issues there that can be streamlined. And finally, John mentioned that there were some opportunities to kind of uplift successes, such as celebrating them a little bit more and really kind of being on the ground and to take any lessons learned and see how you can strategize around them. So we're going to be covering some of those too in the report. And I think the next slide is for us to just kind of be quiet for a second and to ask everybody, just to think about these bucket themes, the successes, the challenges, and then open it up and ask you all on the next slide if anything resonates with you. Oh, sorry, lost a slide there. If anything resonates with you.
Lisa, do you want me to continue sharing, or should I put your emails in the chat while we just, during
emails
comments.
the
I figured
chat.
it's better to come
Yeah,
off. Okay.
yeah,
So I'll come off that
that
chat.
works best. And this way we can just talk as a community. I appreciate that. So out of those themes, what do you say? Yeah, doesn't shock me. That makes sense. Either the successes or the challenges. I think Kelly came off. Oh, nope, Kelly's not. She just nodded.
I hate to go first, but if no one else is jumping in, the data reporting and the portal, like we know 100% that there's a lot that needs to be done there. And actually, we've been working with a DOL last year and the Office of Policy and Management. That work is continuing on how we can build a system that would include Career Connect into the integrated data management system and really greatly improve the opportunity and the experience of all of the grantees. It's a big lift for the state to make changes to our data systems. And so the rollout was basically what we could do with what we had at the time. So we are acutely aware, and it is definitely one of our top priorities. And then also improving the portal. We proved that a virtual front door with a marketing or an outreach campaign really will drives people to the opportunities that we have. And the portal was put together as a pilot program. So now we're having conversations with the next iteration and how do we make that build upon the successes of that and fill in the gaps.
Well, yeah, and just an extra point, people did say that they recognized it was more so in the beginning that it had to be worked out. So there was a recognition.
And I do want to just thank everybody for your participation in the whole grant and then with West Ed. And I just really love the feedback that you've all built a community and that you like to work together and share those best practices. And I think that was something that we were hoping would happen and was something that we tried to cultivate with the team having, the meetings and the opportunity to share. And so I'm just really happy to hear that all of you are valuing that experience.
Great. Does anybody have any question?
This is your opportunity to hear and learn from each other, guys.
Lisa, if you and John can just talk about next steps and how this group of grantees can be a part of, or if they wish to be a part of it, since they're going to be wrapping up.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to continue the conversations. Now that we have some of the themes, we're going to go deeper into it. We're taking a look into sort of different surveys, if you will. We want to talk to grantees, participants, if possible, either through a survey, another focus group. We also want to talk to employers to see how we can make experiences better for them, easier for them, target some of the questions and issues that also grantees had. So if, for example, we understood that sometimes commitments, despite, the best intentions, couldn't be made if a job wasn't available, what else can be done, for example? So there might be other strategies, solutions for collaboration. So those are going to be some of the next steps. We'd love to still be in touch. And keep you updated and abreast. So that might be, again, through a survey or a follow-up focus group, if you're willing and available. So we'll keep communications open and we'll reach out to invite for those. John, did I forget anything?
No, I just wanted to say thank you all for responding and working with us in this opportunity to do the evaluation. I just have to say, even outside of West Ed, I have been either a grantee or a participant at other states, it is not a given that an entity like the Connecticut Labor and OWS would do this kind of evaluation and actually get feedback from grantees and participants and around it. And so this is a worthwhile thing in terms of helping them in their programmatic aspects as they try and grow Career Connect. So I just commend them as well for the efforts that you've started in the middle of some pretty difficult situations for everyone economically and otherwise. So thank you. Looking forward to talking to folks further. So
yeah. And I want to echo one thing, which is usually, which is not a given, and I thought was really, really wonderful for everybody who showed up. People showed up in teams, which is not always usual. It's usually like one or two people, and at times with participants. So we got to see really a full picture, also shared resources, which we're diving into, such as videos, invites. So really that sense of community is really a sense of dedication too. So thank you all.
Thank you both to you both, John and Lisa, for updating us on our first step in our process of this evaluation. I think I'm just going to change the agenda up a little bit, and I'm going to introduce our next speaker. Erica Tu is from Connecticut Department of Labor. She's the WIOA Workforce Development Program Director, and all of that is probably not in the right order, but and she's just going to talk briefly about the ETPL, in case that's something that your program wanted to look towards as part of your sustainability plan moving forward. So Erica, if you'd introduce your team, I know there's a few other people here.
Yeah, I'll primarily be the one speaking today, but with me is Chris Swickla, who works on the program monitoring side of a lot of our WIOA activities. So I'll just real briefly kind of explain like WIOA itself and then get into the mechanics of the ETPL and what that could mean for your organizations. So WIOA is Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. It's a federal law that governs how the states and local areas deliver workforce development services. So the goal for us is to provide services to people with barriers for employment. We have a priority of service for veterans and low-income people, so we want to make sure people are getting into well-paying jobs. So WIOA funding we get from U.S. Department of Labor to the Connecticut Department of Labor, and then it gets distributed out to a multitude of entities, but primarily the workforce development boards, who are our regional operators of the American job centers across the state. So the funding that we give the workforce boards is for job search, career counseling, youth employment, services for adult, youth, and dislocated workers, people with disabilities. There's a lot of specialized programs that come with the WIOA funding that the workforce boards receive. So community-based organizations like yours can be partners in the system for the training services that we could fund. So this is something that can complement and enhance what the American Job Centers are providing. So if you were interested, you could apply for what's called an eligible training provider application. So this is a provider and an application process that would fit into our training process for WIOA. So as customers come to the American Job Centers, some might just need career services, career guidance, some coaching, and some might benefit from training services. So our case managers work with each of our customers, and if training is identified as a good fit for them, then we would give them access to what we call our eligible training provider list, the ETPL, and that's when we would potentially fund different training programs across the state based on that person's career goals. So what is the ETPL? The eligible training provider list. It's a state-managed list of approved training programs that our WIOA funded participants can choose from. So this spans programs that we call adult, youth, and dislocated worker programs in the job centers, sometimes SNAP employment and training, adult education, vocational rehabilitation. All of our state agencies that receive different versions of WIOA funding authorize training programs through the eligible training provider list. So being on the ETPL means that Any of the case managers for any of the programs I mentioned could refer eligible participants to your training. Your program would be visible publicly on cthires.com. It's the state's workforce database for all the WIOA funded programs. And then you'd be part of that network of providers that are for the state and federal reports that we submit there. US DOL has its own training provider website with like trainingproviderresults.gov, where every state's ETPL and their ROI, mechanics, all that stuff is all published online too. So let's see. So being on the ETPL, it starts off with an application process led by your local workforce development board. So your very first partner in this process would be your WDB. They review the applications first because we have a two-party approval in this state. So there's an application and an employer release that are on our CTDOL website. We can send the links afterwards, or I can put them in the chat later. But it's an initial application for your organization as a provider, and then a release for the state of Connecticut to do a due diligence review of your organization. The initial application, if your programs are already authorized by like state Connecticut Office of Higher Ed, Department of Public Health, or like any other regulatory agency based on the credentials you administer, your application could be shorter but there's directional text, there's information. The workforce boards help people complete these applications all the time. But the release for the employer release portion of this is for our CTDOL specific needs like OSHA compliance, compliance with unemployment insurance, and then wage and workplace standards compliance. Barring any issues that we would need to resolve, as long as both the application for your organization and the release looks good, you can move along and apply and explain what programs you would want to have as training programs for the ETPL. So the program level review, we look at each class, each program individually, and we have a series of different outcomes, whether it's a skills gain or a credential. Credentials could be post-secondary or industry recognized. It all kind of depends on what your program is outlining as that outcome. And ongoing commitments, since USDOL maintains a website for training provider results across the nation, there's quarterly performance reporting that would be required of all of our training providers. So this would be on cthires.com. You register as a training provider. You could do it now, and then you could begin the WIOA process with the paperwork as well. But this would be training results for all of your enrolled students, so not just the ones that get funded by WIOA, Voc Rehab, Adult Ed, whoever the case might be. And it would be including a lot of information that can sometimes be tricky depending on the organization's administrative capacity, like student level, all students, social security numbers, program status, what credentials they received and when, exit dates. So we have student by student records of everybody. And that's where the Workforce Board and Labor Department can work with you if you don't currently have those things defined, so you can meet the local reporting needs. But you'd log those into CT Hires each quarter, and then we would submit them to USDOL on your behalf and work with the board in case there was any issues with the data. The most important thing is as you meet your workforce board contacts, unless you're already on the ETPL, just keep the information up to date with us. We want to make sure whatever we have on the DOL ETPL website that's listed publicly just always matches whatever's on your page. So descriptions, tuition, fees, all that stuff. We want to make sure when it comes to our students reviewing and choosing your program that nothing changed in between. It also helps out for billing. And then once you're approved, it's a 2-year review process. So every 2 years, we'll just look at everything. We can make changes at that point if anything changed. Otherwise, if everything's all the same, it's an approval for the next 2 years for each provider and each program. Billing, depending on where your offices are, if there's more than one, all the billing and tuition and all those reimbursements would happen with the Workforce Development Board. So you could be working with multiple, depending on how large your organization is, but that would be with yourselves and the Workforce Board contacts for this process. So yeah, just a light overview of the ETPL, but I hope you apply and let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to field any if any come up. Thank you.
Thanks,
Sarah,
Erica. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, sorry, Kelly.
Oh, I just have a comment. Thank you, Erica, for sharing all of that information. I think when we were putting together this program, it was our goal that all of you became eligible for EPTL list. It is a way to help support the sustainability of your programs and broaden your outreach to the folks that you would like to serve. As we continue to look at other ways for us to provide some sustainability opportunities for these programs. I think this is a funding source that comes annually to Connecticut and to every state in the union. And it's a reliable source to date. Whether that continues, we hope it will. But I encourage all of you strongly to apply for the EPTL list. And if there's anything that you need help or support on, I'm sure Erica and team and our team would be more than happy to help you.
In accordance with that, Kelly, one of the things that I was going to mention is you all talked about the benefits of Career Connect and introducing you to a community of folks that are in this, that receiving this funding, receiving this support. And so that includes you, many CBOs, which are on this, the CBOs, which are on this call, and the workforce boards. So needing that relationship with the workforce board, we hope is already initiated and started. And I can also just affirm that the ETPL process now versus 3-4 years ago is much easier, much more mainstreamed. So Erica and her team do really make it a user-friendly experience. It's not without its documentation. It's not without its requirements. But it is definitely an opportunity that is better now to be taken advantage of than years ago. So hopefully your relationships will help down this road for many of you. Sarah, you want me to just jump into SNAP as a potential similar resource? Okay.
Yep.
Any
if
other
no one
questions
has any
for
questions for Erica, yeah.
Give it the teacher 30-second rule. I don't see any hands. Don't see any movement. Okay, so another potential funding source, again, not without its application process and its paperwork and a variety of intricacies, it is still a potential funding source, resource for you all, and with the programs that you offer, and that's the SNAP eligible and training program list. I'm going to read from some notes. We will, of course, this is being recorded, and Erica, back to you for a minute. I'm not sure if you have like something written out. I think you said you might, or if not, if you have anything written that also speaks to the process, we'll be sending that out as a follow-up in addition to the SNAP eligible and training program as well. It's often referred to as CT Pathways, and it's abbreviated to SNAP ENT. So if you hear me say that, that's SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Programs, Eligible and Employment and Training Programs. So that's what it fully stands for. So I'm just looking off to my side so I get my cheat sheet. Dan Giacomo and his colleagues from the Department of Social Services who administer this were not able to join us today. So they trusted me with being able to read the worksheet that they sent. So for those of you with training programs that you might want to have participants use SNAP ENT dollars for, some of the things to keep in mind. SNAP program, the programs would need to be focused on work. They must have a direct connection to employment, similar to what we were doing throughout Career Connect. They also must have a short-term goal of moving participants into immediate employment and long-term goal of moving households to self-sufficiency. So it really is called CT Pathways for a reason. The programs that are eligible for SNAP ENT should also be responsive to your local economy. So different parts of the state may have different needs, so the programs can accommodate that. The programs should also, similar to Career Connect, make sure you have community partners, both employee and content experts for maybe resources or supports your participants will need that maybe your organization doesn't provide in order for them to be successful in completion of the program. Right. So there are 4 main components that must be a part of any SNAP ENT program: supervised job search training, education or the training, obviously, and then also job retention. So there are very specific parameters that DSS looks for in order for a program to be approved to be on the SNAP ENT list. And so we will, again, send out this information, send out the contact information for Dan and his team. Allison Forsyth is one of the key people. So if you see that name come across your email, that is the point of contact for this. Just double checking my notes. Again, there's certain application process involved, and there is usually a lot of great support available to help you get the process done in order to be considered for CT pathways. It's not a guaranteed approval, but by all means an option for additional funding for training programs. Questions, comments, additions?
Okay, thanks, Christina. I was just going to take the last few minutes of our meeting just as an opportunity just to review quickly our closeout, since this will be probably our last time gathering officially this way. I know there'll be further gatherings that will include all of you in, especially around third-party evaluation. So this is our final wrap-up. I just want to remind you that all final reporting, that's fiscal, data, and narrative are due 30 days at the after end of contract, and so that will be July 30th. I will send out a calendar reminder just so you all can have it on there. I wanted to speak just for a moment about the final narrative report. This is really just one last opportunity to share any supports or challenges or success stories or insights and impressions you haven't been able to share previously, or you didn't feel like you could share previously in any of the other reporting mechanisms that we've used. And so, we have no more than 5 pages. We don't want anyone to, have to repeat themselves, but certainly any impressions you want to share with us about the outcomes and the impact, or if you have some stories. I know all of our grantees have shared some very impactful stories about families, individual participants and their families who have been positively affected by the services that you've provided through this grant. We would love to hear more of that as we talk about the success of the program overall. Really the grantees are the ones who've been doing all of the work. And at the end of the day, it's your families, your clients who have benefited, hopefully, in a very positive and sustained way. Any lessons learned? We know we've heard already from WestEd some of the lessons learned. Again, just another opportunity for you to share maybe some insights or impressions that you haven't previously shared or didn't feel like you had the place to share it. And then finally, some sustainability. So we just wanted to give everyone an opportunity to have this extra space to share with us, so that as OWS learns from this experience, we can, as we move forward, we'll just have more information in our toolbox to do things differently or, better improved on the next round. So I don't know if anyone has any questions or concerns on that closeout memo or the final report deadlines. There will be no new forms. So you just use the forms we've already been using all this time. And of course, we're available as that July 30th date comes closer if you have any concerns or questions. Oh, quiet group. I can't imagine we explained everything that thoroughly, but as always, I'd like to think we were that thorough, but experience tells me otherwise. So by all means, reach out to us as you move forward with the closeout process of this particular grant. And I think the final thing we just wanted to do is although everyone's really quiet, if anyone wanted to share, since WestEd has let us know that you all want to share and learn more from each other, we want to just give a few minutes at the end here for you to share maybe any successes you've had recently, or any questions you want to ask your fellow grantees, or anything like that. So that was sort of our last closing activity.
Patrick, jump in.
Yeah, just a big thank you to the Career Connect team, as always. you were just saying that you weren't sure you were that comprehensive in your closeout email, but I found that like anytime that I do have a question, I'm getting a response within like an hour or two, which is pretty unprecedented, especially for something with this many moving pieces. And even if it's just a, hey, Patrick, totally hear you out. We're working on an answer for you. It's just like super appreciated. And just in terms of sharing successes, it is May. We are coming to the end of our year with our high school students, and we're starting to see all of those college acceptances roll in. And it's just like heartening to hear from student after student after student, like, without this program, I wouldn't have known where I was going next, what I was doing next, and that I was capable of like finding a career like this. I don't just have to go work in retail. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I can go explore college, and we just had a student get into Yale for computer science, something that she never would have been able to do, without having access to these skills and this training. So thank you.
Well, thank you for your kind words, Patrick. I appreciate that. And we're thrilled to hear that about your students for sure.
I'm going next. So this is Yolanda again from the Connecticut State Building Trades Training Institute, and I echo Patrick's, basically comments where we also have to thank the OWS team for all your guidance and support and patience and understanding that you've had with us, because we, as a new organization, you go through growing pains, and we love the fact that as a funder, you're just giving us the funds. You're also are there to support us as we go, as we make mistakes, and help us, right? Make things accurate again and keep us on track. We have to thank you for all that guidance and support. And then in regards to, successes, just like Patrick, we're also coming to the end of the fiscal year. We're working also with high school students, and, we see them also putting their applications, and those that are not going to post-secondary education and thinking of entering the trades. Personally, for me, I came in, with a lot of experience working with the building trades, but just like Star Trek, you also have always that, final horizon. And, during the time that, I worked with the Career Connect grant, one of my target was the licensed trades. So, we were very successful in the beginning with placing laborers, roofers, right, iron workers, but I really wanted to target the mechanical trades, the operating engineers, the electricians, the plumbers, the sprinkler fitters, the boiler makers. And it's a result of this funding that has allowed us to kind of work hand in hand with these trades. And finally, to me, the sprinkler fitters were that, kind of my final horizon. And it finally happened a month ago. So to me, that is a great achievement of this Career Connect grant that has allowed us to expand and place individuals in the mechanical trades. And, and the people that we have placed through this grant are going to be licensed mechanics. These are the people that are going to, be able to do the work that is needed, but also, at some point they can use those licenses to create their own businesses if they want to be entrepreneurs. So you guys have helped us move forward and strengthen the workforce for the construction industry. So I thank you for that.
Thank you, Yolanda. So I will thank, I just want to thank all of our grantees for your participation and for learning and growing with OWS through this process. We know there's a lot of growing and there has been a lot of learning, especially from our side, but we know from the grantee side as well. We really look forward to your continued participation in the third-party evaluation to really make this a program and an effort that lasts and doesn't disappear like grant funding projects do disappear, but maybe, make some real lasting lasting changes to how workforce development is facilitated across the state. And more employers are pulled in different ways, like this project did. So we really appreciate all your partnership and your patience with us. And we look forward to continuing to work with you as we move on in the process. Again, we're always here for feedback and questions, so feel free to reach out to our team at any point. And we look forward to receiving your final reviews. Kelly, I don't know if you have anything you want to close out with these grantees.
That was great, Sarah. Thank you. And just again, reiterate what Sarah said, and thank you all for your dedication on this. It sounds like a goodbye meeting, but it's not. So we still have a lot of work to do together. There's still funding that some of you have that you're still working on spending. We want you to spend every penny. The better our outcomes, the more people we serve. The evaluation will be a great tool for us as we look at sustainable funding sources moving forward. And our goal is that this is the beginning of, the next chapter. So we have to figure out what that is just yet. But we're looking forward to our continued relationship with all of you. And thank you again for what you do. Not many people can go home and say that they've actually changed lives, and all of you do that every day with the people that you serve. And that's just really, really powerful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.